Hey guys, well, you know I'm live. If you just now saw my community post, you know that I watched, I didn't watch WWE Crown Jewel the day of the show. I eventually watched it on Monday. I watched it on Monday, and what I've now started to do, starting with the, starting with payback, I started doing I'm now doing every time I watch a WWE pay-per-view. Now I'm ever blessed. No, I'm maybe not a manager mod, but maybe a standard mod at some point. I'm trying to stay away from modding too many people. Also, if you guys are just now coming in and you want to put a like on the live stream, feel free to do so. It's never a requirement, but I would appreciate it. But now, starting with Payback, I think I started it with Payback. I'm now doing a review of the pay-per-views now as after I watch them. Now, I try to watch them. Do them. I try to do them at least in the same week that I watch them. Yeah, I yeah I should. It should have worked because you guys aren't being timed out. Because you're not being timed out right now. Also, again, like I said, if any of you just now coming in want to put a like on the live stream, feel free to do so. Like I said, it's never required, but I would appreciate it. Also, if you come in here, you're looking at the title of the video of the live stream, Crown Jewel. I watched it this past Monday. Yeah, he was. Well, hopefully the problem got solved. So, I watched WWE Crown Jewel this past Monday. Yesterday, I wasn't able to do a live stream review of it because I was obviously busy most of the day. And so today I decided I have some time to myself. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to go live, and I'm going to talk about Crown Jewel, what I liked, what I maybe didn't like. I mean, what else? I think I started this tradition with Payback. So, whoever boss, what did you just notice about Matt Riddle? Because I started it, I think, with Payback. I started doing this with Payback, where I'll watch like the weekend of a show, the weekend that they do a premium live event. The following week, I'll watch it at some point, and then at some point later on in the week, I'll try to do a live stream review of it. And so this is my live stream review for Payback. For Crown Jewel. Yeah, apparently we even got a match on the pre-show. We even got a match on the pre-show, which is something that I don't think they've even done a pre-show match in a long time. On the pre-show, the kickoff show. Yeah, they haven't been doing matches on the kickoff show recently. So it's interesting that they decided to do it this past weekend for Crown Jewel. And I think Fairbanks Studio just came in. Thank you. Also, if any of you guys are just now coming in, want to put a like on the live stream, feel free to do so. It is never a requirement, but I would appreciate it. Nightbot's there, guys. Nightbot's there, guys. I forget that it's there, but sometimes, but it's there. So it's gonna time you out if you spam caps, like putting things in all caps, just try not to, because Nightbot will time you out for it, apparently. And that may be the only, that may be the only command that Nightbot has, because I don't think we've given Nightbot any commands. But the match on the kickoff show was Sami Zayn versus JD McDonough. I've I have seen the match. At first, before I even watched the show itself, some people were already saying that the match had been good. Yeah. Anyway, time if Randy returns. Yeah, I know. And it seemed, and before Matt Riddle got released, it seemed only fair that they were going to do a Matt Riddle versus Randy Orton storyline. That would have been right. It would have been right there. It would have been right there, ready for WWE to do. But then Matt Riddle got released, so obviously they can't do that storyline of like Randy Orton turning on Matt Riddle. He would have been a big heel. He's been a heel before, and he's been a great heel before. But it was this babyface turn was definitely well received by when he teamed up with Matt Riddle. It was well received. People loved it, and they were a great tag team. So him turning on Matt Riddle would have been huge. He would have definitely been a heel again, and who knows what kind of heel he would have been. Whether he would have been that heel that we saw in like mid 2020 when he's. No, I don't think Riddle ever could have turned heel. I don't think Riddle would have ever turned heel. I just don't think he's that kind of guy. I don't think he's capable of turning heel. I think people. I mean, with some wrestlers, you just can't boo them. You can't boo them no matter how badly, no matter how much no matter how much of a heel they get. You just can't seem to boo them. I mean, I'm calling it the Undertaker effect. Nonetheless, because Undertaker was one of those guys that the crowd just could not boo him. They couldn't boo him. They didn't want to boo him, and they were never going to. Whether he was a heel or a face, they respected him way too much to boo him. And I kind of get that feeling with LA Knight, and I'm starting to maybe think that could have been the case for Matt Riddle too, because he definitely looks like the kind of guy that I wouldn't be able to boo no matter what. Yes, I may not like what he does outside of the ring, but like his personal life, I would agree with his personal life and some of the choices that he's made that's gotten him fired, but still I respect him way too much to want to boo him in the ring. But yeah, we got I mean maybe. But we got on the kickoff show Sami Zayn versus JD McDonough. Even before watching the show itself, even before watching the show, people were telling me that it was a great match. Great, like a little like 13, 14-minute match or whatever. Maybe it was, I don't know exactly. When I eventually watched the show, I got what people were saying, that it was a good match. But Sami Zayn won. It was what it was. Sami Zayn won. What we got throughout the kickoff show was basically just a bunch of hype videos for the matches, for the majority of the matches. No, I mean, if I was to like rate all of the matches, I would rate Sami Zayn versus JD a 4 out of 5 maybe, because people were saying that it was really good. It was really good. So maybe like a 3.5 or 4 out of 5. Now let's see. We get to the main show, and we got the World Heavyweight Championship match between Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. I don't know when they're gonna take the title off off Seth Rollins. I'd give it to Drew. maybe in a rematch match. I don't know if they even plan on taking the title off Rollins, at least until WrestleMania. That's what they could do. They could just decide to just keep it on Rollins until WrestleMania. I don't know why. I don't know why they're going to take, because they've pretty much made it pretty clear that Seth's back is going to need surgery probably at some point. And every time he steps into that ring, if his opponent starts targeting the back, it's going to to be a problem. And what if Seth Rollins gets the back? What if Seth's back gets legit injured in a match? And they had plans for him to hold on to the title until WrestleMania. What does that do for their plans? That screws their plans up, and now they have to scramble to do something because they had plans, and now the plans get screwed up because of a legit injury. And they could have just avoided this, by giving the title, by having him drop the title to someone, to either Shinsuke or Drew, and then let them have a nice little reign with the title, instead of them clinging to the hopes of a WrestleMania match against somebody like maybe Gunther, and hope instead of them clinging on to the hope that Seth's back will not get legit injured before WrestleMania, like in a match possibly with Gunther. And if nobody takes the title off of Drew McIntyre of Seth Rollins before Royal Rumble season for the Royal Rumble, then Gunther probably will win the Royal Rumble, will win at WrestleMania, and will become World Heavyweight Champion. Who he drops the Intercontinental title to, if he even does, I don't know. Maybe it's to Gable, maybe it's to somebody else. Hell, maybe he walks into WrestleMania as Intercontinental Champion and walks out as both Intercontinental and World Heavyweight Champion, and then maybe he decides to just give up the Intercontinental Championship and decides to vacate it. And then they can have a tournament to crown a new Intercontinental Champion. Kind of like what they did with the new World Heavyweight Championship. They had a tournament to crown a new World Heavyweight Championship. The finals match between AJ Styles and Seth Rollins was great. They've had a match before. They've had, I think, at least two matches. They've had at least one match already against each other at the 2019 Money in the Bank, which was pretty darn good. But hey, it is what it is. And thank you guys for coming on. If you guys want to put a like on the live stream, if you're just now coming in and you want to put a like on the live stream, feel free to do so. It is never a requirement, but I would appreciate it. But yeah, Seth Rollins won that World Heavyweight Championship match. I don't know when they're gonna have. I just don't know when they're gonna have Seth drop the title. I would have dropped it to Shinsuke Nakamura at Fastlane, because that last man standing match, was the perfect opportunity for them to crown a new World Heavyweight Champion, and for Seth to get, because in almost every single minute of every single moment of that match, every single piece of offense that Shinsuke Nakamura was doing in that match was directed right to the back. I would have just given the title to Shinsuke Nakamura then, but apparently WWE decided that they didn't want that. That's not their plans. And why isn't it in their plans? Shinsuke Nakamura deserves a world title at some point. He does. And if there are some people out there that say, no, Shinsuke Nakamura will never be a world champion, he'll just be a jobber for life, and then they are stupid, because they clearly because they clearly think they know wrestling, but they really don't, because they have their own opinions, and those opinions suck. I'm sorry, but Shinsuke Nakamura deserves it. Deserves to be a world champion. I mean, Drew McIntyre's been a world champion before, twice. Both times they were overshadowed basically by the pandemic, but still. And still, I think he should win the world title from Seth. But knowing WWE, they will probably have him lose a second time. Just to preserve a possible WrestleMania match with Gunther, which will be a good match, obviously. It'll be a great match, but at what cost to Seth's back? Like, how many more times is Seth gonna get his back pummeled by somebody before he eventually just can't compete anymore? And then when that happens, what happens to that potential main event WrestleMania match that they might already have planned for him? That goes up in smoke because Rollins won't be able to compete. He'll be injured and he'll be out for God knows how long. And then they'll have to crown a new World Heavyweight Champion because their current World Heavyweight Champion is injured. And they could have avoided this, and they could have avoided it by just giving it to somebody who could have been who they've been building up as a credible champion, as a credible contender. But no. That's not how WWE works, apparently. The second match, I can't remember what the second match was. It was the Fatal 5-Way. The Fatal 5-Way women's match for the Women's World Heavyweight Championship. Okay. Zoe Stark versus Shayna Baszler versus Nia Jax versus Raquel Rodriguez versus Rhea Ripley, who's the Women's World Champion. The match, it was okay. It was a pretty decent Fatal 5-Way match. It was only like 11 minutes long, so it was definitely not. It definitely was a bit short in terms of how long I would have wanted the match to be. It was only 11 minutes. And they could have easily made it like a 13, 14 minute, maybe even a 15-minute match. Just to give it just a little extra time. I mean, I thought Cody Rhodes versus Damian Priest could have easily been a main event match on Raw. And nobody probably would have cared. Because we've seen that sort of Judgment Day versus Babyface versus Babyface of the Week versus Hottest Babyface of the Week match. Like, we've seen it. Judgment Day versus Sami Zayn, Judgment Day versus Cody Rhodes, Judgment Day versus Jey Uso, Judgment Day versus such and such, versus Kevin Owens. We've seen it so many times that I think I just want this feud between Judgment Day and Raw's babyfaces to be over with Sami Zayn. Apparently, Sami Zayn doesn't want this feud to end. I think he should have just let it go after losing the tag team titles. But no, he's decided that he's not going to stop until Judgment Day is officially out of power in WWE. I think Judgment Day, the baby faces probably will win, but I don't know. The War Games match, because now it's been official. Now it's been made official. War Games is going to be at some Survivor Series, and Judgment Day will be in a match against the Raw's babyface team, Raw's babyfaces. I don't know whether or not the Bloodline should be involved, because I do know they had that sort of angle on Friday Night SmackDown. I think going into like Fastlane or whatnot, where the Judgment Day seemed to be forging a little bit of a partnership with the Judgment Day. They have yet to really bring that up, really, since then. And I'm just wondering if they're never going to bring it up. They just decided to just do it because it would have looked interesting. Seeing seeing Rhea Ripley talk to Paul Heyman and basically telling Paul Heyman to acknowledge her, basically stealing Roman's line and basically showing that she's not afraid of Roman Reigns or the Bloodline or Paul Heyman or anybody in the Bloodline, that took a lot of guts. I mean, I even saw that one of the one of the Raws coming out of WrestleMania, where they also had the Bloodline and the Judgment Day sort of working together. Rhea Ripley, I mean, stood toe to toe with Solo and looked like she wasn't afraid at all. Like she was basically, she was looking at Solo with like these with like dead eyes and was like, "I'm not afraid of you," and I thought that was pretty cool. If there is anybody, if there is anybody in WWE right now who probably isn't afraid of Solo Sikoa, it probably is Rhea Ripley because she's been because ever since joining the Judgment Day, she's been doing a lot of manhandling. Literally, she's been manhandling most of the male roster, and on especially when she was with they were feuding with the OC. She was constantly attacking Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, AJ Styles, and even Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and Rey Mysterio. Basically, she even had a match against Akira Tozawa, which was an interesting match. Okay. Well, guys. Yeah, the Fatal 5-Way Women's match was good. Was it best? I don't know if it was the best women's match, but it was definitely a good match for what it was. 11 minutes, probably could have been longer. Could have taken the Sami Zayn versus JD McDonough match and could have just put it on the main roster, on the main card, and could have taken Cody Rhodes and Damian Priest and put it on a random episode of Raw because it wouldn't have mattered. Because that match didn't really matter much to me. It only furthered Cody's winning ways on the main roster because I think at this point he kind of has to win every single match he's in because he needs to look strong going into WrestleMania 40. I mean, he can lose matches. There's nothing there's nothing wrong with losing a match or two. Make it seem like he's definitely struggling to get back to. But I do believe they are giving him the the John Cena treatment from WrestleMania 12, from WrestleMania 28, when he lost that match to The Rock. Basically, the biggest match of his career, and then he basically goes into a funk, and then they start booking him as a as a super baby face that can't lose ever, no matter what opponent it is, no matter who the opponent is. And they got him to WrestleMania 29, and he won that rematch against Rock. Which, if that's the way they're booking Cody Rhodes here, then I think it's pretty obvious that he's going to beat Roman. Because look at what happened with John Cena. They're basically booking him the same way. And we all know how John Cena versus Rock Part 2 ended, with John Cena getting the win against The Rock. So for those of you who think that Roman Reigns has to win at WrestleMania 40 against Cody Rhodes, just look at how John Cena versus The Rock Part 2 ended, and the way they're booking Cody Rhodes is basically that's the exact same way, obviously. So yeah, because John Cena winning at Extreme Rules 2012, in which was I think Brock's first WWE big event since coming back that year after WrestleMania, I don't think would have made sense. It would have made more sense for Brock Lesnar to win that match to show that he's back and he's not to be messed with. But they had John Cena win, and they had John Cena win a lot of his matches that year, even matches that he probably could have lost and maybe should have lost. But they had to have him look like Superman just to get him a rematch with Rock that was not necessary, which wasn't necessary. Let's see, third match. I can't remember what the third match was. Oh great, I can't even remember what the third match was for Crown Jewel. Can't even remember what the third match was. And I watched it on Monday. Mm. Oh, I think it was John Cena versus Solo Sikoa. I think it was John Cena versus Solo Sikoa. I actually expected John Cena to win this match, but apparently WWE had other plans, and Solo Sikoa won the match, which actually was a bit of a refresher. I didn't expect it to happen, but it happened, and I'm not mad at it. I wasn't mad at it. Kind of, I mean, yes, would I have wanted John Cena to win? Would I have wanted John Cena to win? Yes, but he didn't need to. I guess he decided it probably would be best if Solo Sikoa won the match, and I think it actually was best for business that he won. So I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna hate on it. Solo Sikoa probably did deserve this win a little bit more because what does he do after a loss to John Cena? Now he can potentially say that in now Solo Sikoa can potentially say that he retired John Cena. He was the guy to retire John Cena for good, like forever. John Cena's never coming back because of Solo Sikoa. But I think if I know John Cena like I think I know John Cena, he's not just going to let Solo Sikoa get the last laugh, shall we say. I honestly don't think that's going to happen. What that entails, I don't know. But yeah. Okay, can you guys type in the live chat? I know that I probably don't have anybody watching me at the moment, but can you guys type in the live chat? I just don't want to make sure that you guys can still type. Or are you guys even still here? Because I don't know if any of you guys are still here. But yeah, Solo Sikoa won the match. Was it a good match? It was a good match. Basically, it was John Cena trying to combat Solo Sikoa's power moves, and eventually Solo Sikoa just wore down John Cena enough to the point where he just was not able to really muster up any offense. And the match basically ended with Solo Sikoa just ramming spike after spike after spike after spike into John Cena's throat and just pinning him for the 1, 2, 3. And that was basically the match. Let's see. I think the next match that was third. The next match we got, I think, was the women's championship match between Io Sky and Bianca Belair. We already saw this match at Backlash a couple of months ago, like many months ago in May. It was a pretty good match back then. At that event, it was a pretty good match. It was a really good match. Clash of Styles, basically, it was basically a powerhouse versus a cruiserweight, basically, and it was basically like a high flyer cruiserweight, basically, and it was a good match. It was a very good match. To At Crown Jewel, it was also a good match. Maybe it wasn't like as good as their first match at Backlash, but it was still a pretty good match for what it was. And we got a return by Kairi Sane, and something that I did like when I was watching the show, when I was actually watching the show, when I watched the show for the first time, I did Michael Cole did make reference to the fact that the last time we had seen Kairi Sane in WWE, she was beaten up and basically thrown out of the company by Bailey. Bailey was the reason Kairi Sane left WWE in the first place back in 2020. It wasn't the main reason. It wasn't the actual reason, obviously, but but for the storyline that they were doing at that time, with Bailey and Sasha Banks basically running the women's division and them just running over basically everybody, in a storyline, for a storyline point of view, yes, she drove Kairi Sane out of WWE. There was other factors involved in that, though. So like actual reasons, not just storyline reasons, but actual reasons to why she left. But I think it was pretty nice. I think it was cool that they mentioned that. I feel like it wouldn't have been, it wouldn't have it would have been different if they not mentioned that. It made sense. It made more sense for them to make mention of that, just to give us the, just to give us a little bit of a insight as to what could potentially happen, because now that Io Sky has brought a friend of hers into WWE, back into WWE, this could potentially be seen as her slowly but surely starting to distance herself from Bailey. And I don't know what this entails. Yeah, this could lead to Io Sky leaving Damage Control, whether as a heel or as a face. I don't know. I mean, maybe at one point, maybe at some point, Io Sky loses the championship, and then Io Sky blames Bailey for the loss, and then just decides that she's done, that she's just done playing around with Bailey, and she's done accepting Bailey's excuses. Is why she constantly has to be out there to help her, even when at times she basically has told Bailey, "Stay in the back. I don't need you. I want to do this on my own." But Bailey feels like without her at ringside, Io can lose at any moment. I mean, look, yeah. Io Sky at any point, at any time, could lose a match without Bailey's assistance. She's basically won.
Boo. What you doing?
Nothing.
It's always something.
No.
Nothing's always something.
Well,
I might go back out later because that lady wasn't there. Yeah, you want me to check on
so that's what it was. The next match we saw was Cody Rhodes versus Damian Priest. Like, you know what I said about that. Match could have easily been on the match could have easily been on Monday Night Raw, and I wouldn't have mattered. I wouldn't have cared. I would have been like, okay. We've pretty much seen that match before, just with different opponents, and just with different members of the Judgment Day and a different Raw baby face. But yeah, it was. I did like how Damian Priest brought back the reckoning in the match, which they made note of, and they basically said, and I think it was Michael Cole that said that Priest doing his own version of the Crossroads. And you could make a case that is the Reckoning is a sort of like a modified version of a Crossroads DDT. I thought I thought that was a pretty neat finisher when Damian Priest was using it. Of course, he still has the South of Heaven chokeslam at that time, but he was using his Reckoning move a lot more back then. But I guess that was when he was a babyface. And now he's a heel, he's using the South of Heaven chokeslam a lot more. I think it's actually a better move for him to use as a heel. But yeah. But you know how I feel. The match was okay. Probably could have been just a Raw main event, and I wouldn't have cared that much. I wouldn't have cared, and I wouldn't have minded that. And now the main event was LA Knight versus Roman Reigns for the Undisputed Championship. You guys know how I feel about that match. Just a throwaway match. I knew who was gonna win. I knew who was gonna win immediately. I knew it. I knew who was gonna win. It was gonna be Roman Reigns. Where LA Knight was gonna give us a good match with Roman Reigns, but he was gonna lose. How? I don't know. I didn't know how he was gonna lose, but I figured he was probably gonna lose via bloodline interference. That's exactly what happened. The bloodline got involved. The bloodline cost him the match. 1, 2, 3. Basically, that is what it is. At one point, Knight did his finisher to BFT. Jimmy Uso got Roman's foot on the rope to make sure Roman didn't lose. Basically, it was the exact same thing that's always happened with the bloodline. Roman is in trouble. Bloodline comes in to save his ass. How many times have we seen that? At least a dozen or at least a gazillion times. But it was a good match. Okay, if I had to rate the women's Fatal 5-Way match, like a 3 out of 5, maybe. Oh, also we got a Miz TV / Grayson Waller effect segment featuring some, I guess, Arabic actor or whatever. I don't know what his name was. Can't remember what his name was. But I don't know how I feel about Miz being a babyface. I just don't think it's gonna work because he's never been a good babyface. I just don't know if I've ever seen him as a babyface, but I feel like he's just always been a heel. But hey, you guys know what I feel about that. That's basically my Crown Jewel review. I will see you guys later, and I had to rate the Solo versus John Cena match 3.5 out of 10. If I had to rate the women's championship match 3.5 out of 10. I had to rate Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre basically a 4 out of 10, 4.5 maybe. If I had to rate Damian Priest versus Cody Rhodes, maybe a 2.5 because it just wasn't needed on the show. You know, we all knew Cody Rhodes was gonna win. And then the main event, I would have given it like a 3.5 out of 10, 3.5 out of 5. But that was basically my Crown Jewel review. I will see you guys later, and until next time, peace. Bye, guys.